In the chaos of collapsing crystal halls, a man, Kael, stumbles from shattered glass into a world 300 years beyond his death. A rogue treasure hunter catches him before he falls. "Keep your eyes on me, soldier," the stranger shouts over the roar of the mountain. "The past is falling down, don't let it take you with it." This is the story of a man who learned that while the past is a mirror, the future is the open road. I'm on a mission to show that our stories carry weight. My mother doubted I'd reach 500 subscribers, but your support for BLiss Tales proves that LGBT love stories have a place in everyone's hearts. Subscribe and help me keep these beautiful tales alive. Back to the video. My name is Kael. Or at least, it was. I'm not entirely sure what I am anymore. 300 years ago, I was captain of the Northern Guard, the youngest man ever to hold that position. I commanded 2,500 knights, sworn to protect the Fire Kingdom and its royal family. I was good at my job. Disciplined. Honorable. Loyal to a fault. And then I fell in love with a prince. Prince Ignis was everything I shouldn't have wanted. He was my charge, my responsibility, the man I was supposed to protect with my life, not desire with every fiber of my being. But desire him I did. And miracle of miracles, he desired me back. We kept it secret for 2 years. Stolen moments in the palace gardens after midnight. Whispered conversations in empty hallways. His hand finding mine in the darkness, his smile reserved only for me. It was dangerous and foolish and the most alive I'd ever felt. But I was promised to another. Lord Malachai was a sorcerer of immense power, one of the 12% of the population who could wield magic in those days. He had loaned King Aldrich a fortune to fund a war, and in exchange, he demanded a bride. Me. A political arrangement, a debt paid in flesh. I didn't love him. I barely knew him. But duty demanded I honor the contract. Ignis begged me to run away with him. "We'll go somewhere they'll never find us," he said one night in our secret garden, his hands cupping my face like I was something precious. "Somewhere we can just be Ignis and Kael, not prince and guard, not debtor and payment. Just us." I wanted to say yes. Gods, how I wanted to. But I was a soldier. Honor was everything to me. And breaking a contract with Malachai would have destroyed the kingdom's finances, maybe even sparked another war. "I can't," I told him, even as my heart shattered. "The kingdom needs this alliance. Your father needs this debt resolved. I won't be the reason everything falls apart." "Then I'll find another way," Ignis insisted. "I'll pay the debt myself. I'll convince my father to renegotiate. Just give me time, Kael. Please." But time was the one thing we didn't have. Malachai discovered our affair 3 days before the wedding. I don't know how. Maybe one of the servants talked. Maybe he had spies everywhere. Maybe he just sensed that the man he was about to marry didn't love him, could never love him, because his heart belonged entirely to someone else. He came to me in the barracks, his face a mask of cold fury. "Did you think I wouldn't know?" he asked quietly. "Did you think I wouldn't feel the way you recoil every time I touch you? The way your eyes search every room for him?" I stood at attention, refusing to show fear. "I have honored our contract, Lord Malachai. I have done everything required of me. Everything except love me." His smile was cruel. "But that's all right, Captain. I never expected love. I expected obedience. Loyalty. And you've given those to another man instead. The wedding is in 3 days. I will fulfill my obligation." "Oh, you'll fulfill an obligation," he said softly. "Just not the one you expected." The ritual happened that night. Malachai dragged me to a chamber deep beneath the palace, a room carved entirely from mirrors. Ignis tried to stop him, fought his way past the guards, but Malachai's magic was too strong. He bound Ignis with chains of force and made him watch as he performed the curse. "You want to be together so badly?" Malachai said, his voice echoing off the mirrored walls. "Then let it be so. Let him watch you, Kael. Let him see you every day and never be able to touch you. Let him transform into a monster while you remain frozen, pure, exactly as he remembers. And let that torture last for centuries." The last thing I saw before the mirror swallowed me was Ignis's face, contorted in anguish, as dark scales began to spread across his skin. Then I was inside the glass. The mirror prison wasn't like regular imprisonment. I wasn't completely unconscious, but I wasn't fully aware either. I existed in a strange state between waking and dreaming, aware of time passing but unable to interact with it. I could see out through the mirror's surface, could watch the palace around me, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but observe. And observe I did. I watched the palace transform from a place of warmth and life into a cold, crystalline tomb. I watched the servants flee, terrified of the dragon prince their beloved Ignis had become. I watched King Aldrich age and die, calling for his son who couldn't leave the mountain to attend the funeral. I watched Ignis's sister, Princess Lyra, visit once. She stood before my mirror and wept. "I'm so sorry, Kael," she whispered. "I'm so sorry we couldn't save you. That we couldn't save either of you." She left flowers at the base of my mirror, and I watched them wither and die, unable to even thank her for the gesture. I watched the centuries turn. Every 100 years, a new bride would arrive. I learned the village's tradition, understood that they believed Ignis was a monster who needed appeasing. The first bride was a girl named Marjorie. She was so young, so terrified. She saw Ignis in his cursed form and ran screaming into the mountain's depths. I heard her screams echo through the palace halls, then heard them cut off abruptly. Silence. Then Ignis's anguished roar. The second bride was older, a widow named Thea who volunteered to save her daughter from being chosen. She tried to negotiate with Ignis, tried to understand him. For a moment, I thought she might succeed. But the curse attacked him during their conversation, and in his dragon form, he couldn't control the fire. She ran. She fell. More screams. More silence. More anguish. The third bride was Alara, but she never arrived. Instead, a young man in white robes came. Cian, a scholar who looked at Ignis not with fear but with curiosity and compassion. That's when things changed. I watched their relationship develop over 2 months, watched Cian talk Ignis through curse attacks, watched them grow closer. I watched them research together, laugh together, slowly fall in love. And I felt something I hadn't felt in 300 years. Hope. But also grief. Because even if they broke the curse, even if they freed Ignis, I would still be trapped. Malachai's mirror prison was separate from the dragon curse, powered by different magic, bound by different rules. Breaking one wouldn't necessarily break the other. Still, I cheered them on in my silent way. I willed Cian to stay, to see what I had seen in Ignis all those years ago. To love him the way he deserved to be loved. And when Cian finally said those words, "I choose you," I felt it. The soul bond formed with an explosion of golden light that rippled through the entire palace. The force of it was so strong that it shook the mountain's foundations, caused the crystal walls to groan and crack. And my mirror prison, sustained by Malachai's 300-year-old magic, finally began to fracture. Small cracks appeared in the glass surface. Then larger ones. I felt sensation returning to my body, pins and needles in my fingers and toes, the sensation of breathing, of my heart beating again. The prison was breaking. But so was the palace. The crystal structures that had stood for 3 centuries were collapsing, no longer sustained by curse magic. I could hear Ignis and Cian shouting, running through the halls. They came to my chamber, and Ignis placed his hand on the mirror's surface one last time. I can't break the prison completely, I heard him say, his voice thick with emotion. But I can do this. He spoke words in the old language, and the mirror's glow shifted. My eyes opened. I could see him clearly now, see the changes 300 years had wrought. He was free of most of the curse, though beautiful scales still marked his neck. And beside him stood Cian, the man who had saved him. Ignis? My voice came out rusty, dreamlike. You're different. What happened? The curse broke, Kael. I'm free. Free. The word I'd longed to hear for 3 centuries. How? He looked at Cian with such love that my heart ached. Someone taught me that love isn't about holding on to the past. It's about choosing the present. I understood. He had moved on. He had found new love. And I was genuinely happy for him, even as part of me mourned what we'd lost. I can't free you yet, Ignis said. But I promise you, I will find a way. I'll search every corner of the world, learn every magic, make whatever bargains I must. You will be free, Kael. I swear it. Tears I didn't know I could still cry streamed down my face. I never doubted you would survive this. I knew you were strong enough. I looked at Cian, this brave scholar who had done what I couldn't. Thank you. For giving him back his life. I'll help him find a way to free you, Cian promised. However long it takes. I smiled. I know you will. I looked at Ignis one more time. Live, my love. Like I told you to. Find happiness. And when you finally free me, I'll be so glad to meet the person who made you smile like that. The connection faded. The mirror went dark. But something had changed. The prison was weakening, destabilized by the curse breaking and Ignis's magic. The cracks were spreading faster now. And then the ceiling fell in. A massive chunk of crystal chandelier crashed down, and the impact shattered my mirror completely. I felt the prison's hold on me break like snapping chains, and suddenly I was being expelled from the glass, falling forward into a room full of dust and destruction. My legs didn't work. 300 years of atrophy meant my muscles were useless. I collapsed onto the floor, gasping, overwhelmed by sensation. I could feel the cold stone beneath me. Smell the dust and smoke. Hear the palace groaning as it tore itself apart. I was going to die here. Free for 30 seconds before being crushed by the palace's collapse. Then someone grabbed me. Up you go, soldier, a rough voice said, and strong arms hauled me to my feet, throwing my arm over broad shoulders. Palace is coming down, and I didn't risk my neck getting in here just to watch a pretty man get flattened. I blinked dust from my eyes and saw my rescuer. He was nothing like anyone I'd ever known. Covered in soot and grime, wearing leather armor that was more patches than original material, with wild dark hair and eyes that sparkled with reckless amusement even in the middle of a disaster. Who? I tried to ask, but he was already moving, half dragging me through the collapsing corridors. Name's Julian, he shouted over the roar of falling crystal. Treasure hunter, mostly. Rogue, sometimes. Savior of handsome guards who don't know when to leave a dying palace. Keep your eyes on me, soldier. The past is falling down, don't let it take you with it. His words cut through my disorientation. The past is falling down. He was right. The palace, my prison, everything I'd known for 300 years was literally crumbling around us. But this man, this Julian, was pulling me toward the future. I forced my legs to work, to remember how to move, how to run. Julian's grip on me was firm but not painful, supportive but not suffocating. He navigated the maze of corridors like he'd memorized them, dodging falling debris, leaping over cracks in the floor. We burst out of the palace just as the central tower collapsed behind us, sending up a massive cloud of crystal dust. Julian kept running, kept pulling me along, until we were far enough down the mountain that the falling debris couldn't reach us. Only then did he let me collapse onto the snow, both of us gasping for air. "Well," Julian said after a moment, grinning despite everything. "That was exciting." I stared at him. "You're insane." "Probably. But you're alive, so who's really winning here?" I didn't have an answer for that. The descent down the mountain took 3 days. My body was slowly remembering how to function, muscles regaining strength, coordination returning. Julian shared his rations without complaint, even though it meant he went hungry. He talked constantly, filling the silence with stories of the world I'd missed. "Steam engines now," he explained on the first night, as we huddled around a small fire. "Trains that move faster than horses. Some cities have gas lamps that light entire streets. And the literacy rate is up to 65%. Can you imagine? More than half the population can read now." I couldn't imagine. In my time, only nobles and scholars could read. Only 15%. The world had changed so much. "Magic is almost gone though," Julian continued. "Less than 1% of people can use it now. Most folks think it's just myth, stories grandparents tell. When I told people I was going to explore a cursed dragon palace, they laughed at me. But you came anyway." "Of course. Best treasures are always in the places people think are myths." He grinned at me across the fire. "Didn't expect to find you, though. That was a bonus. I'm not a treasure." "No. Could have fooled me. You've got that whole ancient warrior with tragic past thing going on. Very valuable. Possibly priceless." Despite everything, I laughed. It felt strange, foreign, but good. "You're ridiculous. And you're beautiful. We all have our burdens to bear." Heat flushed my cheeks. You don't know anything about me. I know you were trapped in that mirror for a very long time. I know someone you cared about broke free of a curse. I know you're trying very hard not to fall apart right now." His expression softened. "And I know that you deserve someone to care about what happens to you next. So I'm volunteering." "Why?" "Why not? I like you. You're interesting. And I've got a weakness for men with old-world grace and green eyes." He shrugged. "Plus, where else are you going to go? Your whole world is gone, Kael. Let me show you the new one." I looked at him, really looked at him. Julian was everything Ignis and I had never been. Rough where we'd been refined. Loud where we'd been discreet. Present where we'd been caught between duty and desire. And maybe that was exactly what I needed. On the second day, Julian taught me about the world's new geography. Kingdoms had fallen and risen. The northern realms I'd known were now part of something called the United Territories. The war my sacrifice had supposedly helped fund was ancient history, barely remembered except in dusty textbooks. "Your palace guard lineage is extinct, by the way," Julian mentioned casually. "Not a single descendant left. The position doesn't even exist anymore." That hurt more than I expected. 2,500 knights, gone. An entire tradition, erased. Julian must have seen something in my face because he squeezed my shoulder. "Hey. It's not all bad. Those knights. They served their purpose, protected their people, made their mark on history. Just because the job doesn't exist anymore doesn't mean it didn't matter. But what am I supposed to do now? I was a soldier. A captain. That's all I know. Then learn something new. World's full of possibilities, soldier. You're not defined by one job, one century, one tragedy. You get to choose who you are now. Choose. The same word Cian had used to break Ignis's curse. Maybe choice was more powerful than I'd ever understood. On the third day, we reached the tree line. Below us, I could see a valley with a small town, smoke rising from chimneys, lights beginning to glow as evening approached. It looked peaceful. Normal. Nothing like the grand cities I remembered, but perhaps that was better. Julian built our final campfire and pulled something from his pack. A small hand mirror, non-magical, scavenged from the palace ruins. "Look at yourself," he said quietly, handing it to me. I hesitated. I'd spent 300 years trapped in a mirror. The last thing I wanted was to see my own reflection. But Julian's expression was patient, encouraging, so I took it and looked. The face staring back at me was mine, but changed. Older somehow, even though the prison had kept me physically frozen at 28. My green eyes, which had dulled to gray during my imprisonment, were starting to regain their color. "Spring grass," Ignis used to say. "Your eyes are the color of spring grass." But more than that, I looked alive. Tired, yes. Haunted, certainly. But alive in a way I hadn't been for 3 centuries. "You aren't a prisoner anymore," Julian whispered. "You're just a man. My man, if you'll have me." I set the mirror down in the dirt and turned to face him fully. He was watching me with such open hope, such genuine affection, that my heart ached. This wasn't the grand, tragic love I'd had with Ignis. This was something simpler, warmer, more real. "I loved him," I said quietly. "Ignis. I loved him with everything I had. And part of me will always love him, will always treasure what we had. I know. But that love is a sacred relic now. Something precious from another life. And you." I reached out, cupping Julian's face the way Ignis used to cup mine. "You're here. You're now. You're real." "Is that enough?" he asked, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen from him before. "It's everything." I kissed him then, there on the mountainside with the ruins of my past behind us and an unknown future ahead. His lips were warm, tasting of smoke and pine and possibility. When we broke apart, we were both smiling. "The mirror is empty," I said, looking at the discarded hand mirror lying in the dirt. "But my life is full." Julian laughed, bright and joyful, and pulled me close. "Damn right it is. And it's only going to get fuller. I've got so many places to show you, soldier. So many things you need to see. I look forward to all of it." We spent that night wrapped in each other's arms, and for the first time in 300 years, I slept without the cold touch of glass against my skin. I dreamed not of the past, but of the future. I wrote a letter series called Letters from the Road to Ignis at different intervals. 6 months later. My dearest Ignis. I hope this letter finds you well, wherever your journey has taken you. Julian taught me about the postal system, remarkable invention, truly, and assured me this would reach you eventually. I'm writing from a city called Millhaven, about 200 miles east of where the Northern Realms used to be. It's nothing like the grand capitals we knew, but it has its own charm. Gas lamps light the streets at night, and there's a university here where Julian convinced me to audit some classes. Modern philosophy is fascinating, though I suspect my professors find my perspectives amusingly outdated. Julian is well. He's teaching me his trade, treasure hunting, though he insists on calling it historical acquisition. Last week we explored some ruins from the war era, and I found myself telling him stories about that time. He listened with such genuine interest that I realized something: my past isn't a burden to him. It's just part of who I am. I think about you often, my friend. I think about our garden, our stolen moments, the love we shared. It's strange to call you friend when once you were everything, but it feels right. That love shaped me, Ignis. It taught me what it meant to choose someone despite impossible odds. And now I'm choosing again. Choosing Julian. Choosing this new life. Choosing to believe that 300 years of imprisonment wasn't the end of my story, just an intermission. I heard rumors that you and Cian are searching for a way to break my mirror curse completely. Please, don't make it your life's work. I'm free in all the ways that matter. And if we never find the counter curse, if these letters are the only way we can communicate, well, that's more than I had for 3 centuries. Live well, my prince. Love Cian with all the passion we never got to fully express. And know that wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I'm grateful for what we had and for what we both found after. Your eternally devoted friend. Kael. 1 year later. Ignis. Julian proposed. Not with a political contract or a sorcerer's bargain, but with a simple ring he forged himself and a question asked on a beach at sunset. I said yes. We're getting married next month in a small ceremony. Nothing like the grand affair that was planned for Malachai and me. Just Julian's friends, some colleagues from the university, and a magistrate who doesn't care that we're both men. This new world, Ignis, it's kinder than the one we knew. I wish you could be there. I wish I could see you again, embrace you, thank you properly for never giving up on finding a way to free me. Julian says you and Cian are close to a breakthrough, that you've been consulting with scholars across 3 countries. But even if you never manage it, even if I remain technically cursed forever, I want you to know I'm happy. Truly, genuinely happy. The mirror may have taken 300 years, but it didn't take my ability to love again. It didn't take my future. Julian sends his regards, by the way. He's read all my letters to you and insists you sound like good people. He wants to meet you someday, share drinks, and hear embarrassing stories about my time as a captain. I've warned him you're quite dignified now, but he remains hopeful. Take care of yourself, old friend. Give Cian my best. With love and gratitude. Kael. 2 years later. Ignis. I'm a father now. Well, Julian and I both are. We found a girl, orphaned by fever, living on the streets. She's 7, fierce as a wildcat, and she looked at Julian and me and said, "You need someone to keep you out of trouble." We couldn't argue with that logic. Her name is Lyra. I named her after your sister, if you don't mind. She would have loved this little warrior. Julian is teaching her to pick locks and read maps. I'm teaching her history and swordplay. Between the 2 of us, she's going to be absolutely unstoppable. I thought I'd lost everything, Ignis. My time, my career, my world, you. But life has this strange way of giving back what was taken, just in different forms. I have a partner who loves me, a daughter who challenges me, a home that's chaotic and warm and full of laughter. The past is a mirror, reflecting what was. But the future is the open road. And I'm finally walking it. Forever yours in friendship. Kael. Some loves are meant to last a lifetime. Others are meant to teach you what love is, so that when you find it again, you recognize it. Kael and Ignis had their moment, their perfect, tragic, beautiful moment. And then they both found something else. Something equally precious, just different. Because the truth is, we're all prisoners of something. The past. Fear. Expectations. The belief that one great love is all we're allowed. But freedom comes when we realize that the heart is infinite. That choosing someone new doesn't diminish what came before. That 300 years in a mirror can't stop you from dancing when you finally step back into the light. This is a story about second chances. About the courage it takes to love again. About finding home not in a place or a time, but in a person who looks at you and says, "Keep your eyes on me. Don't let the past take you with it." And sometimes, that's the greatest freedom of all.
Hit the subscribe button for more enchanting tales every week. Don't forget to keep the magic alive.